Carl.
Hello, hi.
Hi. So welcome to our Coronavirus Patients as Educators video series. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. It's great that you've been able to come along and share your experiences about how coronavirus has affected your routine appointments. We know that you've got a condition called pyruvate kinase deficiency. Can you tell us a little bit about how that affects you?
It's a pretty rare disorder that affects the red cells and basically they don't last very long. Some people have really mild symptoms. I seem to have quite a lot and quite a lot of associated problems. So the main ones are for everyday living. I get breathless and tired more easily than most. And to help with that, I have to have blood transfusions, normally every 2 weeks.
And so on top of that, what sort of appointments do you attend on a regular basis as usual?
Because I've got so many different disorders linked to it now, I mean, I'm diabetic, I've got some liver problems, I've got arthritis and various other things that are kind of linked to it. I have quite a lot of different appointments. I guess probably can be 1 or 2 a month sometimes, and then I have times when I have appointments and scans and then follow-ups to see how they're going. And also obviously having the transfusions every 2 weeks is quite a bit of time as well, so it adds up to a fair bit of time sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds quite a lot. So how have your appointments changed in the wake of coronavirus? How has it affected them?
Quite a lot, really. For example, today I've had a letter where I should have seen a haematology doctor, blood doctor up in London next month. That's now been postponed until April next year. I've had somewhere with some of the local doctors who where they look after the blood transfusions and different things that are advised by the hospitals in London. I've had quite a lot of those cancelled. I had another blood doctor appointment where they rang me up the day before, the secretaries did, and said, do I really want the appointment? Because to be fair, they don't do tons, they just check up on me really and just make sure I'm still ticking along. But because they're linked to the people I have blood with, I see them every 2 weeks, and if I'm not well, they'll always get a doctor to come and see me anyway. Other than that, I had a liver doctor from London ring me for an appointment last week as well. So it's quite different, it has to be said, but it's ticking along, and if I need anything, I know I can ring people up as well.
That's reassuring. Are you managing any care at home now?
The sort of thing we do at home, my kind of setup's a bit unusual in that I am really kind of self-caring and have been for a long time. So my wife sometimes has to help me with different bits anyway, with not feeling great with the dressing sometimes and that kind of thing. But the routine thing she does for me is she takes my blood every 2 weeks. And I've also got a port in my chest where I have the blood transfusions put through, and my wife can actually put the needle in there and access that and get it ready for the transfusion and take blood out as well. And then we send the blood off to the hospital and they process it. And that's really, that's good for me because it means I don't have to sit in a GP surgery anyway, queue up and wait for the tests. And I know when I need blood, I can just ring the unit and say I've sent blood in, and they'll book me in and they'll sort me out.
That's really handy, isn't it? It's helpful that you've got that. So how did you feel about your appointments changing because of coronavirus?
I guess you've got to be philosophical. It's how it has to be. I'm obviously one of the vulnerable groups, so I've not been out of the house now for 5 weeks. I thought it was more until I checked the calendar this morning. So, it's quite a long time, but it's the way it's got to be done, really. My appointment with the liver doctor was a bit curious in that you're not in the room. He can't see you, you can't see him. So you don't get those kind of non-verbal things where he can see how you're feeling about something.
Yeah.
And also his mobile phone was ringing quite a bit and he had to cut it short at about 5 or 8 minutes. So I didn't get to ask all the questions because actually they've just given me another diagnosis. So it was a bit short and sweet, but it was okay.
Yeah, and that sort of fits in with the pros and cons of it, really, doesn't it, with the video conversations?
Absolutely.
Has anything else changed in terms of who you'd usually contact if you were to have any problems or had any questions?
No, I mean, and I've got always had a helpline at the haematology, the blood doctors unit in London. So I've always been able to ring them. I do quite a lot of stuff by email because it means I can do it when I've got 5 minutes and they can respond when they're ready. So I do that as well. So it hasn't hugely changed. And the unit where I have blood, they're really flexible. So as always, I can ring them up, and actually they kind of help out with other advice as well. So I have to be honest, for me, it hasn't been much different. I've been quite lucky at them.
That's good. So, with regards to your transfusions, obviously you need to attend those in person. How did you feel about attending hospital during the coronavirus pandemic?
First of all, I was actually quite terrified, to be honest, and I decided I wouldn't have any blood for 12 weeks. I'm at home not doing anything. So I kind of thought I'd just ride it out. And then I guess I got to just about 3 weeks after having my last lot of blood, which will be 2 weeks. And when you're kind of going hands and knees up the stairs, you kind of think you need to have something done, really.
Yeah.
So I rang up the unit, and I kind of, I mean, I've known them for 15 years, those nurses, that they're really good, and they kind of sense that there was something wrong in my voice. And they said, what is it you're worried about? I said, well, what happens when I come in? How do you make sure I'm safe? And actually, they've got some amazing ways of doing things. They're quite lucky in that their unit has a side door to it that goes straight out to a pathway onto the road in the hospital. So I could go in through there. You go in, wash your hands, put a mask on, and then kind of sit and wait for your treatment. So I felt absolutely terrified, I have to be honest. And I had some more blood yesterday, so I've been twice now. I feel much better about it now, actually.
That's excellent. So you had a lot of information from your nurses before you actually went into the appointment then?
Yeah, they were really good. They explained it step by step, and they could tell that, I'm normally quite laughing and joking with them, and we have a reasonably good time actually when we're there, but they kind of sensed that something wasn't quite right. So they took a lot of time to make sure they explained what was going on and how they, I go to a chemotherapy unit, because of the type of port I've got. That's where they can best look after me. And also, I've known that team for so long, they want to kind of just keep it going really with them. So they knew there was something wrong in what I was saying, and they spent probably 10 minutes on the phone, maybe 15 minutes, just explaining the steps. And then when I went in, they did exactly what they said was going to happen. So yeah, you are a bit nervous about it when you first go, I have to be honest. But you've got to trust that they're doing the right thing, and it was really quite easy and quite straightforward.
That's good. And I suppose the fact that they did exactly what that they said is something that's going to reassure you going forwards as well with future appointments.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's important. During the appointment itself, did you feel safe within the room where you had your transfusion?
Yes, because everyone was doing what they said they were going to do. All the patients were given masks. It isn't anywhere near as busy as it normally is. It can actually start standing room only, waiting for the next chair to be empty sometimes. So you can have people all around you. Quite often they have, up to 5 family members with some people because of the type of treatment they're having. They're quite nervous. But there was no relatives. It was empty. You were kind of at least 2 meters apart, and the staff wore masks the whole time. They were, as they are, constantly washing their hands, wearing aprons. So in terms of actually having a treatment, it wasn't much different, but you could see that, the precautions they were taking. And I needed to see somebody yesterday, or be referred to somebody else yesterday. And rather than let them come to the unit, they emailed them with my phone number so they can give me a ring, so that somebody who'd been up on the wards may be in contact with the virus. They don't let them into the unit at all. They kind of, they term it dirty people, and they're not allowed in, just to keep particularly the chemotherapy patients safe.
That's good. So you felt that you were kept well away from the COVID-19 patients.
Absolutely, and I was sitting there. The last time I went, actually, I had my lunch in the garden because it was in fresh air, and it's quite nice to sit outside, and obviously you have to take your mask off. Yesterday wasn't, it was raining, so I couldn't do that. And I felt, even, thinking, well, I'm touching the chair, but I'm having my food and that kind of thing. But they keep it really clean. And also, they have said, anybody who comes to the door with even the hint of a cough, they're asked to go and call their GP, and then they'll just sort out their care differently. But they're not allowed into the unit at all, not even just to step inside the door. So, it's pretty much a COVID-free environment as best as anyone can make.
That's really reassuring. Obviously, your feelings before going to the appointment were understandable, those feelings of anxiety and worry. Looking back, was it how you expected it to be?
I guess so. I mean, it's a really simple thing to keep as safe as you can from, isn't it? Keep away from people. Some people recommend wearing masks. I've got a mask if I need to go anywhere that I can wear, say, walking through a hospital, which I did yesterday because I had to go back out through the hospital. But yeah, I think, it's as safe as can be. The precautions are straightforward, and as long as people abide by them, I think nothing's perfect, but actually just follow the rules, really. And I'd also say, if your hospital does it differently, or your medical team asks you to do something different, they must be doing it for a reason. So if you don't have the same experience as me, it doesn't mean to say it's a worse experience. They just want to do things differently, but they'll know that they're there to keep you safe at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Carl, that it didn't take a great deal of convincing you to do this interview and to have that chat. And I know that helping other people is something that's really important to you. If we were to support another family or another patient who was going through a similar routine appointment and were worried about it, what advice would you give to them?
I'd say follow the advice of the hospital. So if they're saying you need to go in and have a face-to-face appointment, my view, I would do it because often you need other tests doing at the same time, which isn't so easy to do. And that is a bit of a problem at the moment, that you have an appointment in London and they want some blood tests. I'm pretty self-caring that I'll organise that and I'll email the results to the right people. But if a lot of people don't do what I do. It's quite unusual, I guess. So you've got to trust in the system that your GP will take them, they get to the right place. So actually to go in, have it all done in one go and get the results and get the right treatment is really important. But particularly if you're feeling unwell, then absolutely do as the team say and trust in them. But also, if you're feeling nervous or worried about anything, just talk to somebody there and make sure they understand how you feel. And I know we all look a bit silly wearing a mask, etc., but we're all in the same boat, and for kids, it's a bit of fun. You can make a game of it. But also, if you're worried that someone's walking past you or there's sitting too close to you, actually, I don't think it's rude to move away and sit somewhere else. This virus is a horrible, nasty little thing, and you've got to keep yourself safe. So do what you think's right for yourself. But do take the advice of your team and even ring them up beforehand and talk to somebody. They are as nervous as you. Anybody in the health service who's looking after you is also looking after themselves at the moment. So they'll understand your concerns because they've got the same concerns each and every day, aren't they? So listen to the experts, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a really important piece of advice, and I actually think is something that's important to remember is that the NHS staff are in this as well, and they've obviously got their own lives at home and other people that they're looking to protect as well. So that level of cleanliness, the making sure that their departments remain COVID-free is really important to them, and it's also reassuring to remember that as a patient attending well.
Yeah, and a lot of hospitals actually, they've got COVID areas, non-COVID areas, they've got specialist areas. So they will do everything they can to keep you as far apart from the virus as they can.
Absolutely. Carl, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. We think it's going to be a massive benefit to other families and patients who are attending regular appointments. So thank you very much for today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.